Thank you so much for joining the Sue Fries Show, and I'm so thankful to be with you today. It's another week, it's another day, and every minute of every day counts. So today our topic is going to be, don't ask time where it's gone. Tell it where to go. Curious, are you? I am too. I'm a maximizer, and I didn't learn this until way later in life. I didn't realize how annoying it was when people would repeat themselves like 3 and 4 times, and how I could see time wasting, and it bothered me so much. And I don't know, because not everybody it bothers, but it does bother me, and it's because God gave me this thing. It's called time management and being a maximizer. And people say, how do you get so much done in a day? How do you get, you do so many things. How do you make it all happen? And I think it just has to do with being intentional with my time and figuring out what is important with every minute. It's like I really have to look at all the things I need to get done, prioritizing them in order for it to work. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, how do you work? How do you get everything done in your day? And that's what we're going to talk about today. All great achievers understand the value of controlling their time. They know that we human beings have been created equal in this respect, but every one of us is privileged with 24 hours a day. What we do with each day matters, and it so does. I mean, every minute matters. Give your best time to your most challenging situation. It's not how much you do that matters. It's how much you finish. Here's a key for you. Say no. Sounds easy, right? But it's really not. But yes, it is. Say yes when you should say no is one of the biggest reasons for wasting time. One of the most valuable sayings over coined was, don't spend $1 worth of time for 10 cents worth of results. I haven't heard that very often, have you? But it does have a valid point, doesn't it? Make sure to take care of the 2 most vulnerable times in your day. Do you know what they are? First thing in the morning and the last thing at night. It's amazing how much these 2 times influence the whole day. Be sure to fill them with productive words and actions. I'm reading from a book, and this book is called An Enemy Called Average by John Mason. John Mason is helping me write my next book. He's written, I don't even know how many books. I'm going to have to ask him. And anyway, I'm just going to take a side note and just show you. This is for Facebook Live, YouTube Live. I have 2 books that are out there right now. I'm trying to figure out which way I need to go. And one is Learning to Breathe. Gosh, I keep going out of, there we go. Learning to Breathe. And the other one is The Change. And change happens. Whether we like it or not, change happens. And Learning to Breathe was my first book. That is my journey with my son, who's a chronic asthmatic. He's 22, yeah, right. He's 42, and he works with Ecola, and he's very important to Ecola and our team. But he started his life after 2 years old of having asthma. And part of our story with Ecola is I was running another business of pest control, and that was traditional methods. And then I went into I found this company called Ecola that did environmentally friendly, non-chemical methods. And I thought, I want to do that, and I want to be more of that, because if we can get the problem solved and not have invasive chemicals and things like that, I want to have that as a choice in our toolbox. And so I ended up buying Ecola in 2000, and we've been running ever since, and we're in the top 100 companies in North America. So it's pretty exciting, and that's one of the things that I spend quite a bit of my time doing, being in the industry for 43 years. I spend time there. My time management has changed from doing it to delegating, which is something you have to do. And you have to choose what's your priority and what could somebody else do. And that's a side note, and I just wanted to get all that in there because I felt it was important. So I want to also say this, is that I'm listening to audibles, and one of the things that is repeated to me all the time is the minutes from your sleep when you first wake up in the morning and how you're in a certain state in your mind and how meditation is so important. And I used to think meditation was something different than what it is. And if we meditate on being thankful for, in the Bible it talks about being thankful in all things. But if we meditate on what we're thankful for, it changes our attitude. And if we start in the morning by giving thanks and really realizing just how blessed we are, it changes our attitudes. And your attitude will determine your altitude. And the best time to capture that or to get on track is first thing in the morning, right? It's the first thing in the morning. So praying in the morning and asking the Lord to guide your steps and to give you ears that can hear and eyes to see like He sees and a heart to feel like He feels. When we start our day like that, it changes the outcome. If we're asking the Lord to provide or asking the Lord to reveal, He will do it if we ask Him, because He tells us He will do that. He has many promises, and He keeps His promises. More than any person on this earth keeps their promises. God's word is true today, yesterday, and tomorrow. So the first thing in the morning and then the last thing at night. Now, I'm a grandma, so I'm just going to do another side note here to say that they say that the most important moments with your children is first thing in the morning and when you put them to bed. You can do all this other stuff during the day, all these other things, but the most important time with your children is first thing in the morning and before you put them to bed. So make that very important to you and plan it. Make sure it's going to be the best it can be, because your children will glean from it. They'll grow from it, and they'll feel the most loved, and they'll have the best sleep if they're put to bed in the proper manner, reading to them, telling them a story, letting them talk to you about how their day was, telling them how special they are and how much you love them. These are very important things that we do with our children to help them and train them up in the way they shall go, so that they will feel that love, the love of Christ and the love from mom and dad. So, side note, but I thought it was important because, the listeners that I have listening are all ages, and male and female. In fact, I have quite a few males listening to this show, and thank you for listening, and I hope that I'm helpful to you, for everybody, right? I want to have impact. I want to be significant. I want God's word to flow through me to where you hear His words, and change happens. The second book was on change, and change does happen, and we have a choice on how we are going to handle any given situation. And change is going to happen. So we can either welcome it or we can fight it, but it's going to happen. Definitely going to happen, right? You're listening to the Sue Fries Show. Sue Fries, spelled like fries, oneword.com. You can go there, and there's so much information there. There's the podcast for all of these years. There's podcasts there that you can listen to by topic or by guest. I have guests. If you want to be a guest, contact me. Go to Sue Fries, spelled like fries, oneword.com, and you could be a guest on this show. Everybody has a message that God has created from our messes. And if you want to share your message, it's really important that you do, if you feel led to do that, because people can learn from your story instead of having to go through, or maybe it would give them the encouragement, inspiration to make a move, make a change, to go a different direction. Just based on your story, you would give them courage because you got through it. And by you getting through it and calling it out for what it was, it helps other people realize they can get through it too. It's really a wonderful thing. So if you want to do that, contact me and let's talk. Okay? Nobody listens to it. Nobody reads it except for me. So I'll respond to you and we can go from there. Okay? All right. If you are saying I could be doing big things if I weren't so busy doing small things, then you need to take control of your time. The greater control you exercise over your time, the greater freedom you will experience. Moses prayed, "So teach us to number our days that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom." The Bible teaches us that the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. That's John 10:10. If you're having trouble in your marriage, if you're having trouble with your disciplining of your children, or, they're not listening to you, or you feel that you're just separated, disconnected from whomever, if you're having trouble at work, if you're having trouble at church, if there's conflict and you just don't understand why, a lot of the times it's in the spiritual realm. And sometimes for me, when I have the most pressure, when I have the most attack on me, I feel like there is something big going to break. I feel like I'm making progress in the Lord's kingdom. And I feel like I got to press in, press on, because I'm making the devil upset. Because why else would he be coming after me unless there was something going to happen, a breaking in the spirit, or something positive going to happen that's going to be better. And so I stay on. I stay on it. I ask for wisdom and discernment from the Lord to know what to do, how to do, what not to do, to move forward in His presence, to move forward in His will. But the devil does come to steal, kill, and destroy, and he can have impact. And we need to fight in the spirit and love people. We have to love people and fight in the spirit. So understand there's a difference there, and as you become closer and understand the Lord and His will, you understand more about probably what I'm saying right now, because it took me a while to understand it. This verse applies to time as well as to other areas of our lives. The enemy desires to overflow us with ideas, worries, people, pleasures, and misdirections that kill, steal, and destroy valuable time. Are there people in your life that affect you negatively? Are there people in your life that are intense, that have an intensity to them that can cause you to get anxiety? Are there people in your lives that are speaking lies into your life? They're not speaking words from the Lord, not of encouragement or inspiration, but they're speaking words that are negative. Or they're talking about other people negatively, and everybody else is the problem. It can't be me. It's everybody else. They're the problem. Sometimes, there's one finger when you're pointing at other people. There's one finger pointing at that person, but guess what? There are 3 fingers pointing back to you. And sometimes we have to do a deep dive into our own actions, our own reactions, our own responses to say this, and just listen to this carefully, is that ask yourself when you get wound up, ask yourself if you're one of those people that gets intensified with your emotions. Is this situation going to matter a day from now? Is this situation going to matter a week from now? Are you ever you're even going to remember this a year from now? And if you bring that to your brain and think about it, it's really on a scale of importance from 1 to 10, 10 being high priority, to a 1, if you gave it a number, where would it really go? Forget your emotional intensity. Just think about the issue at hand, and where does it land? Is it a 1? Are you going to remember it tomorrow? Or is it a 10 and you're going to remember it next year? These are questions that you could ask yourself before you respond and react. Ask yourself that question to desensitize, de-intensify, if that's a word, to bring you down to a level of calm, or just from a 10 to a 5, so that when you're interacting with other people, because you do, in fact, impact other people by your responses, your reactions, and the more intensity you put on it, the more you affect other people. My goal is that I want to impact people in a positive way. I want them to feel better, or with a better understanding of the situation because of my interaction, or because of me being in the room. I want that. What do you want? When you walk into a room, when you go to church, when you interact at work, what is the goal for you? And how are you using your time? I often hear people say, I'd give anything to be able to blank, blank, blank. If you have said this, you should adopt the 6 times 1 equals 6 leadership principle. If you want to write a book, learn to play a musical instrument, become a better tennis player, or anything else that's important to you, then devote to it 1 hour a day, 6 days a week. This is good advice. Listen. Devote 1 hour, 6 days a week. That gives you 1 day for rest. That's normally Sunday. And this is habits. This is habits because people become who they are by the habits they do every day. So if you want something different to happen, you got to look at what you're doing that's working and not working for you and change, put something else in that shelf of that time frame. Okay? If you're doing this, maybe you need to be doing that. It's really good, really good. Sooner than you think, your desire will become reality. You can accomplish many things in 312 hours a year. Just a commitment of 1 hour a day, 6 days a week is all it takes. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be an hour. Even if you put 30 minutes into something, a 30-minute workout at your house. If you took 30 minutes a day and did, weight, just doing weights with your arms and, if you just did these things, eating, if you change something that you're doing that could have a better result with the intake of what you're eating, then that would change. But you've got to do it every day. It's like, it's a habit. You do it every day. We all have the same amount of time each day. The difference between people is determined by what they do with the amount of time at their disposal. Don't be like the airline pilot flying over the Pacific Ocean who reported to his passengers, "We're lost, but we're making great time." Remember that the future arrives an hour at a time. Gain control of your time, and you will gain control of your life. Boy, this is so good, and that's the end of that chapter. And I have to say that I love what was just said, and I do these things. I have a notepad by my nightstand with a pen that works, and there are times when I'm laying there and I can't fall asleep. And I've done my devotion, I've done my prayer, and I've got so much running through my brain of things that need to get done, timelines that need to happen, all of those things, and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to sleep if I don't get this out of my head and on paper. So I turn the light back on, I sit up in bed, put the pillow behind my neck, and I start writing. And I try to unload everything that is going on in my head. And after I do that, I close the book, and I put the pen down, I turn off the light, and I lay down. And probably 9 times out of 10, I actually can go to sleep. What do you do to unload what's in your brain? And the next thing I do is I write a list of what I need to do tomorrow. I have a list of things that I want to get done. And then I have my long list, the list of to-dos that are when I have time. And if something breaks, if I find a slot of time, I can fill it with something. At work, I tell my staff for each office they should have a clipboard with a paper on it. And if there are things that we just can't get to, let's say we need to paint a wall, we need to fix this, or we need to do that, I tell them to write it down, because when we have a day where it's raining, instead of someone staying home, which they have the opportunity to stay home if they want, or they could come to work and maybe paint that propane tank, or maybe change the decals on the trucks, or, whatever it is. We have time and we have the ability to do it, and it's on a list so that we can get it done. So those are some of the things that we do at Ecola. We also have other things that we do. During our slow months, we make that training time so that people that need training hours or whatnot, we just make that best use of time. Vehicles, getting their oil changed, making sure that they've got everything in working order. This is the time that we do those things. It's not cut out of producing time. It's using that time wisely when we have the time. So this is priority, urgent, and then things that just need to get done whenever they get done. And I think these things are very, very important. Another thing that I've learned as the CEO and president of a company who tries to manage a lot of things, I found out that I just couldn't do it all myself anymore. So I had to get better at communicating, and I had to get better at realizing, is this something that I need to do, or is there somebody else that could do it? And if there's somebody else that could do it, it would be better for me to let them do it. They're probably better at it than me anyway. So this might help you if you feel like you're overwhelmed, you just can't get everything done. Maybe it's time to learn how to delegate. Now, yeah, you have to take a little extra time to train in the beginning. But with time and accountability, check and verify, you can release that pressure and release that responsibility to somebody else. And that is something that they're going to enjoy doing probably more than you anyway. Then you ask yourself, is this something only I can do? And when we ask if it's only something I can do, you will only keep the things that only you need to keep. And I have both lists. I have the list that only I can do, and that keeps changing. Because as time goes on, I realize that there is something more important than these items. So now I've got to take something off this list. I have another thing where if I buy something, my closet's really full. It's ridiculously full because my size hasn't changed since high school pretty much. So I have clothes that I just love. So what I do is I've made a point that from now on, when I buy something, I have to take something out of my closet because there's no room. So if I buy something, it has to be better than something I already have because I have to get rid of something. And that's working out well for me. And that is a balancing act. So I'm telling you all this because I feel like time is so important and we only have so much of it. And we keep thinking there's going to be gobs of time. And there's sometimes, and as we get older, we realize that we don't have just all that time, and let's not waste it. Don't waste it on relationships that don't need to have you there. Don't waste it on tedious chores that don't need to be done. You know, hire the professional to do the professional job so that you can do what you do best and let them do what they do best. These are all words of encouragement for you to have you get the most out of every minute. Be intentional with your time. Be a blessing to someone each and every day so that you can be a significant impact to those you come in contact with. And let's calm that intensity with the people that you're around. All right? So be a blessing. Like I said before, I want you to be a blessing to someone each and every day. And contact me. Go to Sue Fries, spelled like fries, oneword.com. And I'd love to hear from you. So please contact me. I want to hear from you, okay? And I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much. We will be back with more of the Sue Fries Show right after this brief break.
When I was 2 years old, I had a life-threatening asthma attack.
And as a mom, I was worried. It was a big reason for pioneering our eco-friendly pest and termite treatments. With our dynamic selection of non-chemical and alternative treatments, we achieve effective results that fit the concerns for the health of your families, children, pets, and the environment.
From San Diego to San Luis Obispo, when you have a pest problem, call today. E-Cola, powerful termite and pest control.
As gentle as a butterfly.
Thank you so much, E-Cola Termite and Pest Control, for sponsoring this show. I am so blessed to be part of this organization. We, again, have been named one of the top 100 companies in North America. We are hiring, so if you need a new career, not a job, a career, we would love to talk to you. You can reach out to us by going to termitelady.com and reach out to us there. And we'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much, E-Cola, for sponsoring this show. If you'd like to sponsor the show, we'd love to talk to you. And I've been doing this a very long time, and I'd love to have the opportunity to help you and teach you along the way. And maybe you could be a sponsor for this show. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on my show, if you have a story that you'd like to tell, I'm open. I would love to hear your story. And, you know, we can impact other people by telling our story. I definitely have gotten people that responded to my shows and saying that because of my story, they made a decision that changed their life forever. And, even if we've gone through pain, which a lot of our stories are messes, aren't they? But God can make a message out of our messes, and He does a lot of the times. So if you want to share your story, it takes bravery and courage to do this. But if you realize just how much you could help other people by sharing your story, it changes. It changes how you feel about sharing your story. And you know what? Anything I can tell you that for a long time I had secrets, and I didn't tell anybody my secrets. It's not till I let those secrets out that I got the freedom to be an encourager, the freedom to feel worthy and feel lovable. And I want the same for you, and so does the Lord. So the show today is Obey the Ninth Commandment. Do you know what the Ninth Commandment is? The Ninth Commandment can be summarized in one statement: you must not lie. Each Christian should be a person of unquestionable integrity. Gray is never right. Hope built on a lie is always the beginning of loss. Never attempt to build anything on a foundation of lies and half-truths. It will not stand. Never expect God to bless a lie. I was married for 32 years, and I can tell you that not being able to trust was the reason my relationship is not together. My marriage is not together anymore, and I don't think I've ever said that on air. But because I couldn't trust and I couldn't believe, it caused me to feel insecure and not know. I did not have a strong foundation in the marriage. And so after 32 years, I decided that that was enough and that I needed to leave the relationship. It's not what I wanted. And I fought hard, long and hard, to work on me, to be the best me I could be, because no matter where I go, I'm taking me with me. And that maybe somebody needed to hear that. So it's best to work on you. And wouldn't it be wonderful and delightful that by you working on you, a relationship, a marriage can change and be healed? Wouldn't that be amazing? And I know that happens. And it takes one person to make changes to where it changes the relationship. And you could be the change of your relationship. Didn't work on my situation as far as the marriage staying alive and well and loving, but I'm a changed person. So with that, I benefit. And so does everybody else that knows me now. It's definitely a benefit. And God wants us to be in healthy relationships. He wants us to be able to grow in our image of Him and in His image. He wants us to know Him more. And that's really hard to do when you're struggling to find truth, when you're struggling in a life like that. So lying is a big deal. And I just wrote my first children's book because it was recommended to me to do that. And actually I mean, my hand was writing, but God was giving me the words. And it's a personal children's story that was my life. It was a story that I had, and it was about lying. And it was about a bee. And you guys, I'll tell you when it's published, because my daughter, I think, is going to be doing the illustrations for it. So it's really kind of a fun endeavor, and I'm excited about it. And I don't have a name for it, or I would tell you what it was, but I don't have it yet. But when I do, I will let you know. So getting back to this, never expect God to bless a lie. It has been said that it should be easy to make an honest living because there is so little competition. Only a person with honesty and integrity can be accurately motivated or directed. Lying will always distort your ability to see God's guidance in your life. It will cause you to take steps that are not right for you. Lying will cost you more in the long term than it will save you in the short term. I know that I have lied. And I do know that my mom used to say, Susie, when you tell a lie, it's hard because you have to remember your lie to keep covering up for the original lie, and then you have to lie again and again and again. Instead of just telling the truth, even when it hurts. Because sometimes truth can hurt. It's painful to tell the truth. But it does hold you accountable a little more, knowing that you're going to tell the truth down the road. To live a life with thought and integrity. What you do when no one's looking is who you really are. Lying easily becomes a habit. A person who lies once will lie again with less effort. Lying is a trap. No one has a good enough memory to be a successful liar. That's what my mom was trying to tell me. T.L. Osborne said, always tell the truth and you never have to remember what you said. Oh, that's so funny because that's saying it a different way and it makes so much sense. So much sense. In Proverbs, we read, lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who deal truthfully are his delight. Do you want to be an abomination or do you want to be his delight? That is a no-brainer for me. How about you? A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who speaks lies shall perish. You know, I hear of people having lawsuits, and the lawsuits are based on lies. And it's very difficult because you know they're lies, and you have to prove it. You have to prove their lies. It's just difficult. And those people, have you ever said, you know, well, gosh, that person is not a good person, but they seem like their life is going so well. How can that be, right? But we don't see their whole life. We don't see what's happening behind. And, you know, the vengeance is God's. When somebody does wrong, if somebody lies, if somebody is unjust, if somebody does things to other people they shouldn't be doing it, we have to let God have the vengeance, not us. He tells us to pray for our enemies. You know how hard that is? But if God's telling you and you're obedient, you're blessed. So I'll tell you right now that I am praying for my enemies. And yes, I have some enemies. I have people that I put into that box that are enemies, and I pray for them. I pray for them to see the light. I pray for them to find the Lord. I pray for them to be clean and released of whatever is burdening them and causing them to do these things. I do. I pray for them. And the rest is up to God. I'm doing what God tells me to do, and the rest I have to leave at his feet and let him deal with it. And I know that he will. In Colossians, the Apostle Paul admonishes us, do not lie to one another, since you have put off the old man with his deeds and have put on the new man or woman who is renewed in knowledge according to the image of him who created you. The new. You're putting on the new. You're renewed in knowledge. The Bible mentions 7 results of lying. If you lie, number 1, you will attract liars into your life. Do you want that? Man, I want to know that the people that are around me are being honest with me, even if it hurts. I want to know that they can trust me to be honest with them, even if it hurts. And that's a true relationship. You know, when I look at marriages, and I tell my children, if you don't have trust, you don't have anything. If you cannot trust the person that you're married to, you don't have a relationship. If you can't trust a partner in business, if you can't trust that partner in business, you have no partner. I mean, you don't want to be in business with someone like that. I'm just, man, I would walk away so fast. Number 2, you will lack understanding. For those that lie or around liars, you will lack understanding. Number 3, you will never enjoy permanent results. Whew, that means your foundation's not strong. It's not on a firm foundation. You can't build a house without a firm foundation. So it starts with trust. Believing in that other person and trusting that other person that they have your best interest at heart and you have their best interest at heart, that you will back to back and go to war with them. You have to know that. If you don't, how can you get through the slightest of things? How can you fight anything that comes your way? How can you fight the devil who wants to steal, kill, and destroy? How can you do that if you don't have people around you that you can trust? I want people, you know, I want to build my foundation on people that will defend me when I'm not in the room, at work, at home, at church. And I ask myself that, would that person defend me when I'm not in the room? Would that person defend me or laugh? Would that person get on board with whatever's being said, or would that person defend me when I'm not there? I ask myself that question when I'm checking out who's in my circle. And you should too. It's so important to have people that'll defend you when you're not in the room, that won't lie, cheat, steal. Number 4, you will end up in bondage because you've got to remember your lies. Number 5, you will be punished. You'll be punished. 6, you will become a fool. I'm thinking about the people that have lied to me. And yeah, I see all this. You'll become a fool. Number 7, your lies will come back upon you. Little white lies grow to be big black lies. Determined to be free from the bondage of breaking the 9th commandment. Determined to always tell the truth. I know that's not easy. You know, even with decisions we made a long, long time ago. I will talk to the women. Let's say, listeners, that some of you have had an abortion. It was a decision you made a long time ago. And you made that decision on the best of intention. You made that decision because you felt it was the only way to do. That's the only decision you had. That's the only choice you had. I get it, because I've been there, done that. Am I proud of it? Heck no. Am I forgiven? Yes, I am. And so can you be. But you know what I had to do? I had a secret. And that secret was holding me down and causing me to be stuck. That secret was not helping me. And that secret was a lie, that nobody would love me if they knew my secret. That secret was a lie. And the devil was winning because it caused me to place a wedge in between me and other people. People couldn't get close to me because I felt unworthy to receive what they had because of things that I had done. And I felt unworthy and ashamed. And all I can say is, God forgives us, and His grace is sufficient for me, and it's sufficient for you. So let me just encourage you that if you have a secret, find a safe person. You'll know when you find them. Find a safe person. It doesn't have to be a priest. You don't have to give a confession. Jesus knows all. He already knows. But what He is looking for you to do is free yourself of the bondage of this secret, this dark secret, that if somebody knows, they're not going to love you, they're going to judge you. And I'm sure there's people out there that have judged me. And you know what? I don't really care. I don't care. Because the only one I care about is my Heavenly Father and what He thinks and what He feels about me. And that brings me comfort and freedom to where I can talk on this mic and I can look in this camera and I can tell you that this is what you would need to do in order to feel what I have been freed from and how I can be on this radio talking about it. And not to get political, but to have people in office that are saying that you have the freedom to kill a baby even after you deliver the baby, that it's okay, mom has the right. Or full-fledged fetus, limb to limb. That's what a political party is saying is okay. And if you don't believe that, please research a little more. And the other political party is saying no, that that baby doesn't have a voice. Now, I did have an abortion. I don't know what I would have done back then if there was no way for me to do what I did. I don't know what I would have done. And so I think about that. But I also think of how much I love my children that I have, and that I always wanted to have another. And I would have had another if I hadn't made the decision to do what I did. I can't look back. I can't beat myself up. It's not going to change a thing. Except for speaking to you right now is how I can change other people, and I can hopefully reach other mommies that are struggling in this department. And you dads that maybe were part of that way back when, This affects you emotionally too, whether you want to believe it or not. You shoveled it under the rug. You're not thinking about it. That was then. This is now. Dodged a bullet, whatever you want to say. But I can tell you it does affect you. It does affect you. How could it not? It's a baby. So, get freed from any secret. Freed. Go to a safe place. Go to a safe person. And maybe it's just talking to God. Maybe you just need to reveal it to God. He already knows. He knows every hair. He knows every word when He created you and wove you in your mother's womb. Boy, that was heavy. I know it was heavy, but it's important to not lie. I wrote a children's book. It's not published yet, and it has to do with lying. It has to do with bee. And my mom told me not to pick the flowers, and I wanted to give her a flower, and I didn't obey her, and I went and I picked a flower, and there was a bee on that flower, doggone it, and that bee stung me on my finger, and it hurt so bad. I screamed and threw the flower up in the air, and then I went and picked it up again because I was going to get that flower for my mom. I ran to my mother, and my mom said, Susie, you know, we had this discussion. You're not supposed to pick the flowers. And she goes, did you pick the flower? And I looked at her right in the eyes, tears rolling down my eyes. And I said, no, Mommy, it was on the ground. I didn't pick it. It was on the ground. And that was a lie. That was a lie. And I've lived with that lie all this time. I told her later that I did lie, you know, and I felt so much better once I told her, and she laughed. She goes, I already knew that, Susie. I knew when you told me. And I didn't know whether to spank you or hug you, because you were going to give me a flower again, even though I told you not to. Precious, precious moment, wasn't it? Anyway, yeah. So how can you get released? How can you move forward? How can you discuss this with other people? Like if you catch somebody in a lie, how do you handle that? When somebody lies to you, what do you do? Do you confront them and say, I know differently? I was with a friend last night, and she runs a organization, and she had a salesperson working for her that actually went out to dinner with her husband and charged the company, saying that she took one of their advertisers out to dinner. And it was the third time that she had got caught, you know, doing something with her timekeeping, you know, milking the clock or charging something on the company credit card that shouldn't have been charged. It's like, you know, we give gas cards, and having one of my technicians put gas in his own personal car instead of the company car, or using the company car for personal business. And I'm paying for the gas, the insurance, the truck maintenance, and they're using the truck for something not, you know, this happens, this stuff that it just happens, and there has to be consequences for, you know, that's lying, cheating, stealing. It's all kind of in the same realm. And I tell people, you lie, cheat, or steal, and I will fire you because I'm not going to put up with it. And that's something that needs to be a boundary for any of us. And let's say you catch somebody in a lie and they say, oh my gosh, I'll never do that again. I'll never do that again. And what does it say here? It says that once a person lies, it becomes easier for them to lie. You will lie again. I mean, it just says that once you lie, you'll just continue to lie. It becomes easier and easier with every lie. And I know people like this. I know people close to me. I know people that lie, and they lie so much that they just think it's truth. And they don't even flinch. There's nothing. It's just, that's their reality. Telling stories that you weren't even there, but you're telling it as if you were there. Saying you didn't take that when you did take that, and just all those things. And so after a while, if you're not the liar, but you're the one that catches the person in the lie, you have to make a decision, don't you? You have to say outer circle, not inner circle, and you can't believe anything. And after you lose that trust, even the first time when someone lies to me one time, I trust everybody until they give me reason not to trust them. People say, how can you trust? I said, I give people that trust until they give me a reason not to. But once someone does something that causes me not to trust, it puts them on my radar. If they work for me, they're on my radar. They're on my radar because I can't trust them. Now, time goes by, they're on the radar, and then, a year goes by and no other incident, then it's possible that that was a one-time incident and they've learned their lesson and they're not going to do it again. But most of the time when somebody lies, it's reoccurring, and it happens again and again. Here's another one for you. People that are with pornography. They lie all the time saying, oh, no, I'm not doing pornography. I'm not doing pornography. No way. I don't, yeah, sure. No, I don't do that. Or what's the big deal? I'm not touching. I'm just looking. Do you know that there is one common denominator? This is fact. I don't know what the statistics are, but the highest percentage of people in prison, that the common denominator is, they found by doing studies, is that the one common denominator that they all have in common is that they're into pornography. I found that to be very interesting when people say it doesn't affect me, that it's really not a problem, it's no big deal. That's a pretty interesting statistic to me. I don't know about you, but to me, I think that's a pretty interesting statistic. And to look and not touch, that's another one. In the Bible, it talks about if your eye causes you to stumble, pluck it out. Is that for real? But truly, if you do have a piece or a mind or something that causes you to stumble, you want to turn a 180. You want to turn a 180 and repent and go the other direction of that. If you're sitting with a man in a vehicle and you see a really good-looking woman walk across the crosswalk, and you're talking to this man who's somebody important to you, and you're supposed to be important to them, and that person is not even listening anymore, and that you can see their eyes just totally focused on this woman crossing the street. I would say that's an eye that's causing that man to stumble. What would you say? And if that's you, mister, check yourself, please. You're supposed to be faithful to the woman that you're with, your wife or significant other. So, lying. If you are a liar, if you have lied, repent, ask for forgiveness, and change. You have a decision to change and don't lie anymore. It's that simple. Not so simple, but simple. So don't be a liar, okay? Tell the truth. Be honest and build that foundation on strong foundation. God bless you and be a blessing to someone.